It's been really, really nice to be back. สวัสดีค่ะฉันตื่นเต้นมากเลยได้ที่กลับมาประเทศไทยก็วันนี้ฉันจะพูดภาษาอังกฤษนะคะขอโทษที ฉันพูดภาษาไทยไม่ค่อยชัดค่ะแต่ฉันจะได้พยายามพูดภาษาอังกฤษช้าหน่อย then everybody can understand so don't worry non-Thai speaker I'm not saying anything important I'm just saying that I've not been back and I will be speaking in English that's about it so I'm really excited to be back in Thailand after 4 years away and I think I know quite a lot of you here but yes I know you too I think I know for those who don't know me just a little information let me see because today the system is a little different I have to use 2 fingers usually I use 1 wait excuse me hello there we go okay yeah so my name is Georgi and I'm currently one of the directors of the PSF board and also along with the rest of the 11 board members. This year it will be a little bit different because there will be 2 new board members joining us from Africa. So Python has come a long way for me and it plays a huge part in Thailand. Okay. It's a little weird. Okay, here. I've lived in Thailand for over 11 years, and during my time spent here, I've co-founded Bangkok RubyRB. I've co-organized RubyConf. I've co-organized Code War. I've initiated Code Without Barriers with Microsoft. I've co-founded, what's that? I've co-founded PyLadies Bangkok with Kata. Yeah. And I've also co-organized PyCon Thailand. So it's a little bit weird coming back. I used to be there and now I'm here. You know, it's like, what am I doing? Like, it's like a role play kind of thing. And I also eventually led PyCon APAC in 2021 before I left for Netherlands. Hang on. So when I was invited to the keynote, there was like this really weird question that I asked, well, it's not weird because usually as keynote we will ask what the organizers want us to talk about. And one of the organizers, James, was saying that Pythonistas in Thailand think that Python are mostly about data, about web, and AI. I was like, are you sure? It's kind of like, I guess they actually know. So when you actually take a photo on your selfie with Instagram, there's Python and Django framework. When you drive your Tesla, there's Python in it. When you go for your health check, there's Python. When you use Airbnb to look for accommodation, that's Python. When you make your purchase on Stripe online, that's Python too. When you chill and watch TV on Netflix, that's Python. And even if you want to go to watch a movie in Disney, well, Elsa's hair has Python. Out of this Earth, just don't talk about the Earth, just talk outside the universe. Well, NASA uses Python to measure the black hole. So you can see, Python is literally everywhere. So Python is like, how do you say that? IKEA. So IKEA, some people call it IKEA, and it sounds a little bit like the Thai word I'm not going to say that. Non-Thai friends here, ask your Thai friends around. It's a great icebreaker to ask why I cannot say that, and they can explain. So, yeah, Python is like IKEA or IKEA. So, if you see Python, it is flexible, it is affordable, it is modular, and sometimes you can build anything, or you can get a little bit lost. And you know what? You can actually power Python in your whole entire house. So when you turn on your lights, that's smart lights, MicroPython. When you watch TV, like I said, that's Python. When you turn on your speaker, activate the voice, you can use Python. When you turn on your air conditioning, there is Python. When you activate your vacuum robot, that's Python. When you wash your clothes, you can have Python there, yes. When you turn on the oven, when you use the fridge, and even when your home security system can have Python to run the motion detection. So, in fact, your whole house is infested with Python. But sometimes, like I said just now, using Python and following the documentation can feel just as confusing as the guide on IKEA. You have no idea. You thought you can do it. It sounds pretty easy, but it's kind of confusing. So, Python gives you libraries, frameworks, and an import statement that sometimes you might not even understand. But it seems like you have everything. And you thought, well, I think I can do it. I can finish it in 2 hours. And then 6 hours later, this is what you built. And or sometimes you actually build it and you realize that it failed. It couldn't work. And sometimes, like I said, you just couldn't make it and you just give up. You just go, oh, it's okay, I'll try tomorrow. When times like that happen, and you don't know where to continue, where to end, what do? You call for help. In fact, Python, you can do Google search, you can go on YouTube, you can do Stack Overflow, or search on forums, ask questions. You can find answers because it is just so common. You can find all the help you want. Now the question is, how did Python manage to get so popular? I mean, there are so many languages out there. Python is not like the simplest or less bug-free. So to understand that, you have to start from the beginning. I'm going to tell you a story. So put on your pajamas and, So, well, I didn't put his actual photo because Hido doesn't like to be taken photos in front. Well, but I'm sure he doesn't mind me doing a portrait of him here. So his name is Hido van Rossum, or some people call it Guido. And yeah, when Hido just created Python, the goal was simple. He wanted to make a language that is easy to read, easy to use, and easy to share. He didn't want it to be just powerful, but he wanted it to be approachable. And most importantly, he wanted others to be able to help improve it. And that is why Python was chosen to be open source. In fact, Python was initially just his side project, fun project that he created during Christmas. If you want to know more, you can actually search on YouTube. There is recently a really good documentary about this story. So when, as more and more people discovered Python, they loved how simple and intuitive it was. So more people joined in, more tools were built. Suddenly, it's no longer a small project. It was turning into a full ecosystem, and it needed people, processes, and support. And that's when they started running sprints, gathering contributors to work on Python together. So who knows what a sprint is? Wow. Yeah, I'm sure you know, you're just... Okay, those people who don't know what a sprint is, reach out to those people who know, and they will explain to you. This is a good icebreaker. In 2003, the first ever PyCon US was held. It wasn't fancy. This is actually very fancy already, you know. There's no big sponsors, and it was even a space that was not alone, just PyCon. It was like a shared event space. And it was held in a university called George Washington. So the whole idea was just to get all the nerds coming together and to build and to learn. But it was a hit. And it raised also a new challenge. Somebody needs to run the event, needs to handle the logistics, the funding, the trademark, and the people, the community support. So that is where Hido and the core developers feel like they couldn't do all this alone if they want to work on the language. That's when it realized that they needed a foundation. That's how the Python Software Foundation was built, or the PSF, because I cannot say, hi, I'm from Python Software Foundation. I'm from Python Software Foundation. So PSF is much easier. The mission is to promote, protect, and advance the Python programming language. I'm a little bit slow because, like I said, my coordination with two fingers are a little bit off. Support and facilitate the growth of a diverse and international community. So the PSF would handle all the things that the developers don't have time for, like the infrastructure, which is like the python.org website, the Python Package Index, or PyPI in short, the Python documentation, etc. And you have also, what they cover is the legal, and intellectual property management, which is the IP, holding things like the trademarks and the licenses, and of course, hosting conferences, hosting PyCon, and providing educational resources and funding. Basically, letting all the developers time to build the language while everything else is still in operation. So I'm going to give you a little example and to let you understand how the PSF works. It sounded very confusing, but in fact, there's only two main groups. So on the right here, you have the PEP. You hear a lot of PEPs, right? So that's actually called Python Enhancement Proposal. That includes the Steering Council, which are the ones who make the decision, top-level decision about the language or the changes, or when the latest Python releases, etc. And then you have the core developers who make decision on what are the things that they would like to have and what are things in priority that they will be working on. Well, that is a good thing that you can actually ask Alyssa, because Alyssa, in fact, knows about Steering Council because she was one of the first Steering Council member, and also a core developer. Now, another thing that's a little bit different is the CPython Developers in Residence. This is pretty new. It is actually very, very qualified developers that is sponsored by a couple of our supporters, and they work on CPython solely full-time. Then, you also have the PSF site. And the PSF site has the full-time staff, like the executive director, the marketing, etc. And you have the board, like what I'm standing here, working on the governance and policies, and the members, the organizers, all the people who actually organized this event, created all the staff around, and also the members of the community. Two sides, similar mission. So you might ask, like, how does this apply to me? Well, this is what it applies to you. It's the people, the community. Python grows because people show up, people help, teach, and build together. Educators simplify the hard stuff. Volunteers who translate the complex concepts and also translate into different languages. And also trainers who spend their time in the workshop for free. Some, like for example, this PyLadies Taiwan, they have been doing that for 10 years. And also the maintainers of the language, the triaging, the documentation, there are just so many people. Also, we have the policy makers and the organizers that I mentioned. All of this is the reason why it's so big. In 2025 July, the TOB index shows that Python remains the #1 language. It's not the first year, because previous year it was also the first language. However, for a language to stay as the first and still increase by 10.85, that is a difference. That is not just a growth. It just becomes a momentum. So you will say like, okay, I'm very interested, but how do I start? Well, to start, you need to be able to use it first. So I'm sure all of you use, who's here have not been using Python yet? Are you kidnapped here? Blink twice, okay, I'm gonna call for help. So you need to be a user before you can build. When you start to work on this, then you will know like, well, you start to understand the language, you start to understand the community, you start to understand the documentation. And that's where you move on to step 2, where you know the problems. And this part, step 2, is what people love most, complain. We like to go for coffees and complain about why it didn't work. In fact, we are so good at complaining that we always talk about how bad everything was. But actually, if you really, really want to start, you have to go on to step 3, which is, if you know how to complain and you know the problem really well, find the solution and fix it. So, yep, you need to move on to step 3 before you can actually move on. Let me give you an example. I remember Ajahn Somchai in Chulalongkorn University, and it is where Nota Create or F. Can you raise your hand? That's higher, raise it. Yeah, that's him. So he created an event in the university back then, and Ajahn Somchai was introduced to me. He actually translated the very first Python educational book, 101, to help the students in the university to learn Python. He found the problem, like everyone else, language barrier. There is a language barrier in Thailand that they couldn't learn Python because they're not good in English yet. So he translated the entire Python training book. However, I just heard yesterday from F that they are still using this book, and it's been 10 years. So people out there, volunteers, help. You know there's a problem here, we can actually update. The difference between many other people is that Ajahn Somchai actually knew the problem and he fixed it. I know you can say that, well, but he's a teacher, he has experience, this is his job. I don't do that. Yeah, you are not Ajahn Somchai. I am not Ajahn Somchai, unless your name is Somchai, which it's a common name. But we can still be part of it because every contribution counts. Every single one of you in this room, from the absolute beginner to a seasoned developer, is actually very important for the future because Python needs constant, fresh input. I am not a developer at the beginning, and I mean, I'm still not a developer. I only use it when I need to use it. But I am here, standing here, so I'm pretty sure every one of you are more qualified than me. The thing is, Python is a language that requires sustainability. And sustainability comes from diversity. It comes from a diverse input. Oops. It is stuck. Okay, there you go. Don't worry. It's just playing around with you. So the key is simple. Start before you're ready. You don't need to be an expert before you start. You don't have to start big. You just have to start. Especially in Asia, we grew up thinking that we shouldn't speak up until we are very, very good. And we are taught by our culture that you have to be an expert before you speak. Or even your father sometimes might just smack your head and say, don't talk. You don't know anything. And then you go like, okay, I'm not going to say anything until I'm an expert. But here's the truth. You need to first be bad before you're good. If you have not been bad before, then you cannot be good. It is very scary, but it's the truth. And in Asia, we love a lot about our face. You know, face is just so important. And we are also very afraid of, losing face. Well, this computer doesn't want to lose face. So it seems to happen actually mostly in Asia. So much so that we have actually different types of interpretation. In Mandarin, you call that 丢脸. In Japanese, you call it, I'm not sure if it's correct, gao ushinau, right? And then in Thai, we call it siana. And then in Korean, you have similar meanings in Filipino, in Indonesia, in even Hindi. We are so afraid of making mistakes because if we make mistakes and we are confronted, we lose face. Nobody wants to be wrong, and nobody likes rejection. But if you think carefully, a lot of the mistakes that we made are the ones of the other memories that we actually remember the most. And that's how we grow. If you see a problem and you know how to solve it, don't wait. Just try and do it. So here are some examples that I can show you how it works. You can start local. It's always easier to start local. You can join an event nearby. Here, there's PyLadies, that's Thai Pie. In fact, you don't need to speak. You just need to show up, listen first, and see if you enjoy hanging out with the group, because it's very, very important that there's so many groups around everywhere that you can actually check. And if you don't feel comfortable, move on and find another group, you know? And once you feel interested and you say like, whoa, that person is talking about that, actually I'm gonna share my talk, then do it, try it. You know, do a demo, share a story, because when you share a story, people see you and they say, wow, that is a great model. I mean, I can relate to that. And you're actually helping the other person to stand up on stage the next time. Or if you attend PyCon like this and you love all those friendly friends around you, help. They are very nice, and you can hang out, and they will eventually be friends of yours. If you're really interested to contribute to the language, you can pick an issue, write some documentation, fix a bug. You don't need to go straight to CPython. I tried it before, and I confirm it takes a huge step. But at least I tried, and I know that I'm not going to continue. There are lots of other smaller projects around where first-timers are very easy to start with, you know. One great example is a friend of mine. Her name is Jessica. And Jessica, she is from Denmark, and she's a blind developer. And she started contributing to PyPandoc because she has been using it. She needed that. And eventually, she realized that the maintainers could not keep up with her PRs. So she was like, I need this to move on so that I can work on something better. And it still didn't work. So what did she do? Well, she called, well, she didn't call. She just sent an email and said, can I be a maintainer so I can help? And they accepted with like open arms and said, yes, welcome, come on in. And that's how she became a maintainer. Simple as that. She just followed her curiosity, and her motivation kept her going. Kaboom, kaboom, kaboom. Okay, yeah. Then we have another possibility for you to contribute. It's not so known among a lot of people. It's called the work groups in the Python group. And I'm going to make it like simple for you to understand. There are three main structures. The first one is the infrastructure and ecosystem, where you have, number one, the packaging work group. They maintain the PyPI, the pip, the setup tools, the packaging, python.org. And then you also have the trademark work group. And Iqbal, can you raise your hand? I'm going to get people to disturb you. There, that's Iqbal. He's one of the members for the trademark work groups. They handle... Yeah, it's a lot of work. It's a lot of work because they handle the licenses, the trademark, and you know, because Python is so huge, people make use of it to make money, and we need to have the copyright. Then we have this new group called the user experience. We recently came out with this because how many of you has been to python.org website? Well, you can understand our pain. There was a lot of things that you cannot find, and that is the reason why we set up this work group, because we want the user experience to improve. I mean, it's a really great documentation, website and everything, but it's been 10 years or more. So it's time for that to improve. Then we have the other group called the community growth, where there's the diversity and inclusion work group. I'm currently leading this group. We have about 15 different people around the world trying to maintain and stay committed to make this community global and welcoming. You also have the education work group. So teachers, educators, you can look at this education work group. They are very, very interesting, where we actually collect all the resources and we try to even translate all this documentation. Fellows work group are the ones that nominates. So when people or any one of you find that you see someone has been contributing to Python community for a long time, you say, wow, they deserve a reward. That is where you can write to the Fellows work group and nominate them. And the Fellows work group will be the one going through and saying yes or no. Python job board is very small. That's only one person. That's Jeff. He's been doing that for a long time. But basically, just look at a website. Okay, there's jobs. Okay, I post. That's about it. Finally, you have the last one, which is the community and funding policies. Grants. This is how all the events happen. So when the foundation have grants, they actually manage it. Code of conduct. A lot of people feel that it's not important. but in fact it's the most important of all, because that is the one who makes everyone safe and comfortable coming here. Or if you actually want to be involved more than just Thailand, you can go regional, go global. There are so many events that accept people who are not just living there. Even if you are overseas, they accept you to be part of it. So you have like PyLadiesCon, and yep, it's online. And then there is EuroPython, there's PyCon US, there's Django, there's PyData, NumPy, SciPy, whatever Pi you want, there is there. And of course, there's also a new one called the Python Asia Organization. So Python Asia Organization is created recently to connect contributors and organizers together from the Asian region. And they are looking for volunteers too. The upcoming event is called the Python Asia 2026, happening in March in Philippines. So if you're interested, are the organizers here? They are there, okay? Go talk to them, and they will tell you about whatever you need to know. Okay, I'm sorry, this thing is a little buggy. Okay, there you go. ขอโทษนะคะ So whether you're into code, into events, into education, into research, or just wanted to meet people like you, in fact, that's how I meet a lot of friends that I don't even know that they exist. So it's possible, because without the community, the language would not be so popular. Look around this room here. You're already part of the global community. You are here just being here, listening and sharing. The people who organize these events, they are the participants before, and now they are the volunteers. Isn't that great? Can we give a round of applause for all these people? Thank you so much. So if you don't know anything from what I said, and you only remember IKEA, just remember start before you're ready. In fact, it doesn't apply only to Python. It applies to your life. You might hesitate in a lot of things, but just start, and you will never know, but that's how you know when you start. The success behind Python is the community. It's the people who teach, who shape it, translate it, document it, fund it, and welcome you into it. So even if you don't know where to begin, the path is open there. You just have to start. Alyssa will be covering later on how you can contribute to the open source. And of course, people always want to know, what do I get in return? That's where she will cover about the benefits of it and listen to know more. Now, it's time for me to do a sales pitch. So if you would like to join and become a PSF member, you can scan any of this QR code. The 4 differences. Number 1, basic, is just like you just want to be part of it. You don't want to do anything else. And you can sign up, and then you just receive newsletter and updates. Then you have the supporting member. Those are the people who feel like you would like to provide donation, and that's how we can fund the foundation. So you can scan that. Self-certified is a very interesting one. These are the people, if you think that you have been contributing to Python one way or another for more than 8 hours per month, you are qualified. And the difference between all this is that the basic, you don't get to vote, but the rest of them, you actually get to vote for the election for the next person standing here, the board. The fellows is, like I said, if you find someone around you that you say, hey, they are really good, we need them to be a fellow, scan that. Oh, and of course, there's a gift. If you do it today and you show me that you did that, come to me and I'll give you a free sticker. ขอบคุณนะคะ
Yeah.
Is there, do we need to go for questions or just
Oh,
pass?
do anyone has a questions? We can have